happens for a reason. So now
Yeah,
that kind of gave you the you can kind of know where they're coming from, know where people are coming from who are
absolutely.
coming from that type of environment.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
really kind of the mantra of all of our training and what I do. It's, how do we not, like, let's set you up for success.
Hmm.
Um, Life is going to happen. We can't necessarily change the number of hours you work in a week, but how can we try to fit in something, and these habits that will be sustainable long term?
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of the habits, you have a just own it. So could you speak on that a little bit? And you have actually 5 ways
Yeah.
to just own it. So
So it's sort of a mantra that I think I found empowering for myself. And just sort of one succinct phrase that anything that we do, whether it's athletics or sports or exercise or in our careers, in our businesses, with our families, in our own personal development, is really just to own it. So whatever you're doing, just own it. So you might not be perfect at something. Give yourself permission to not be perfect. So I've
yeah.
sort of broken it down into 5 areas that I find women, in particular, that it seems to resonate with. So the first one is, own those situations that you can control and accept what's beyond your control. And I think
Yeah.
that that's really liberating when we can say, this is beyond my control right now.
Yeah.
What can I do that I can control? So your kid gets sick.
Hmm.
You had planned to come out and work out, but you know what? It's beyond your control. You've got to be there for your kid.
Hmm.
So you know what? This is what it is, because you know tomorrow you can get right back on the wagon. It's allowing that permission to not have to be absolutely perfect every day, and it's incredibly liberating.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is going to replay at different times, but right now we're in the middle of the holidays, and we have this expectation that we have to be absolutely perfect in everything we do. Yet a lot of that's out of our control. So when we can tell ourselves, I don't have to be perfect at everything I do, have high expectations, but know what's realistic, it really sets us up, I think, for long-term success.
Hmm.
The second one is respecting the limits of your mind and body, and kind of owning the fact that it's never about being all or nothing. So
Okay.
we see this often where women will go, January 1st comes. I'm going to
Hmm.
be healthy this year. I'm going to really do it this year. And I'm going to be at the gym. I'm going to exercise 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And then that might work for a week, maybe 2, maybe 3, but then life happens.
That's right.
And we don't have that resiliency often to just kind of bounce back out of it. But respecting the limits of that. So different times of year, when you have higher stress times of year. I always use accountants as a good example. So your best functioning time is probably not going to be between the months of like January and April, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when their high stress period is. Accept that. Accept that you
Yeah.
may not be able to do all the commitments that you want to during that time, but know that you can spend other
That's
times of
right.
the year focusing on that. We just have such high expectations that sometimes we set ourselves up for failure that way, I think.
Hmm.
The third way is, getting back on track. I hear women say this all the time. If I could just get back on track.
Hmm.
And then I'll ask them, I'll say, well, what does back on track even mean for you?
Hmm.
Well, I'm not going to eat any carbs, and I'm going to get on the treadmill, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Well, what if that track isn't what works for you? Or maybe it worked for you when you were 22, but
Yeah.
now that's not going to work for you. So what happens is we let one maybe poor decision or one event or one holiday season slide us so far off track that we don't have that sense of, I'm going to eat it, I'm going to enjoy it, I'm going to get over it, and I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
Because we know tomorrow's another day. And that's where balance really happens. So not letting one or two poor choices, or maybe not the best choices, get you so far off track that you end up sliding into that dark hole of never being able to climb your way back.
Yeah.
And that's really in all aspects.
Hmm.
And then the fourth and fifth, I think the fourth is just really, really important in terms of surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded. Studies find that we are on average, the average of the top 5 people we surround ourselves with most. So that could mean it doesn't necessarily mean the people who consume the most number of hours in the day. So a lot of times, we're around our coworkers very often,
Yeah.
or a boss, but make sure that those energies aren't impacting you. So if you have that one family member, you may not be able to get them out of your life, but find people, seek out people who you want to be more like, and bring them into your fold, and have those people around you who are going to lift you up and not drag you down. And I think that, Eric, I mean, that's why I think people hopefully look to us, is because we want to be one of their top 5. We want to lift them up. So finding more people like that, I think, is really key. And then finally is continue to invest in yourself, and really own your self-worth. I think women in particular, we don't feel like we're worth anything, or we have to have some justification for doing something for ourselves, because we're so giving. It's all about the kids and the family and the husband, and giving. Yet we give so little to ourselves